I'd like to call.
You may have to talk loud because
Yep.
you're...
I'd like to call this planning commission meeting to order, July the 8th, 2021. With all the construction, some of the wires have been cut, so speak loudly where it'll get on tape because the speakers out in the courtroom is not working. Mr. Whitterow, could I get you to give devotion, sir?
If you would pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this wonderful day that you've given us. And Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to come together tonight and do the business of our county. Lord, we ask you to grant us the strength and the wisdom and the courage to make good decisions here tonight. We ask you to watch over us, guide us, keep us safe and in your love. Most of all, we thank you for Jesus. For it's in his precious holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Darnell, could I get you to call roll, please, sir?
Todd Berry, Robert Witherow,
Here.
Jeff Spencer,
Here.
Mac Pilkington,
Here.
Robert Qualls, David Brogdon,
Here.
Harold Williams, Shane Chandler,
Here.
Gary Peeler,
Here.
Christy Sullivan, Wayne Durham, Robert Comer.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum.
Okay, thanks, sir. At this time, I'd like to recognize the visitors in the audience, and if you have not signed in, please do so before you leave the courtroom. And as my phone's ringing, remind everybody to turn off their ringers, please. Everybody looked over the minutes from the previous meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Have a motion by Robert Whitterow to approve minutes as they stand. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Gary Peeler. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor state aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. We'll now move into the items. Item number 1 is final plat for Brittany Hill Subdivision Phase 4, Lot 13, Tax Map 148, part of Parcel 6.00, 2.69 acres, Jacobs Way, Bonacqua, Tennessee, A1 Agriculture, 6th District.
Okay, this was surveyed by Chapter Lane and Associates to create one additional lot in Brittany Hills. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but this is an older subdivision, which the original developer, he went bankrupt back during the last economic downturn, 2010, 2008. It's currently owned by Southeast Bank Corp., which is a division of First Federal Bank here locally. At the time this plat was brought in, the subdivision was also reaching its 90% build-out point. Currently, the bank has paved both Yates and Amelia Drive. Right now, they're working on Jacobs Way. They've had to mill it back down to the base because they had several soft spots originally. So they're working on that. I know Mr. Collins has some comments about the guttering and the curbing, but when they're completely done, it will be up to the county highway standards. At this time, all your water lines and fire hydrants are already in place. Another issue was, will they ever develop the part off Amelia Drive in the back? That's always been the question. The soil back there, it doesn't perk very well, and so that's why up until now it's never been developed, and it's possible it may never will. Mr. Collins?
Okay, as far as my comments, there, of course, the plat, lacks all the necessary signatures. The plat copy that I reviewed, it is difficult to make out the contour lines. The numbers are hard to read. However, I was able to pull up another resource which gave me some more generalized contour marks that showed how the property drains, which obviously it drains in a north to northwestern pattern towards Barren Fork. That's further to the north and just outside borders this property. The streets that are within this development, Jacobs Way, and then there's portions of Amelia Drive that have some gutters. They do have a curb and gutter system. However, it's the part of the dead end of Jacobs Way, which is where this lot 13 is being proposed, that it lacks gutters. When I went out to the cul-de-sac, end, I found where the curb was open in two places that allows for the runoff that comes down the street to literally pour through the curb and back into the undeveloped lots that are and property that's right there. Since we are looking at, and of course I don't have any details other than just a recorded plat, which it was recorded in 2007. It doesn't indicate that gutters were required. So it it leaves it up to whether it was merely overlooked or someone the planning commission might have made a decision that gutters are not necessary, just do this cut in the curb. So with that said, and just judging it by the contour lines, it would seem practical to and we are dealing with a phase 4 here technically, even though it's one lot, that at least one gutter be put in for addressing the runoff so that it does not pour into this new lot that's being created. So that being that the street is designed under our curb and gutter design standards, it would seem befitting that this new phase have a gutter, at least one gutter installed on this cul-de-sac, if you're inclined to require that. Let's see. Of course, as far as my comments regarding this adding of a gutter, either the developer goes ahead and installs it, or post a surety guaranteeing its installation. That's all the comments I got.
All right, thank you, Mr. Collins. Mr. Brogdon, you have a comment?
And I think, Mr. Collins, where the cutout is right now, there's just a little bit of riprap rock. There's not really anything that could,
I saw some back there I'm not a good judge on the matter, but it does look like it's sporadic rock. It's not like it's been maintained. That's probably the most appropriate response for that.
and based on the fact that there's already guttering there with the other area, even regardless whether you can find it on a map, it would be appropriate, and we have the authority to do that tonight and require that. So.
It seems a reasonable condition to improve that, but if you feel inclined to make a condition that the riprap is maintained, at least that one that's right there on the property line with Lot 13, that would be.
If there's curb and gutter on the rest of it, they ought to be,
Right.
ought to just put,
And that is something the highway department has went out there and looked at, and that's why they're working on getting it completely, up to the highway department code before that we can ever, dedicate it to the county.
In that case, I would move to approve this with the staff comments requiring that the guttering be continued.
Right, and that's
Like
something the highway
existing.
department's gonna require anyway to finish the road.
So I do have a proper motion by David Brogdon to approve this with staff comments, and that is the continuation of the gutter and the signatures that are lacked.
That's correct.
And I have a proper second by R.J. Comer. Any further discussion?
got one question. The finished surface on the asphalt stuff has been done out this,
It's done on Yates and Amelia, but they couldn't do Jacobs because the base was no good. They had to go back, mill it up,
Right.
and repair soft
and
spots.
you said part of Amelia is still undeveloped, but the homes that are,
Well,
there-
the back part of Amelia, right now, is not subdivision lots.
okay,
The bank has always wanted to develop that, but the soil's not any good back there.
right.
So that's been, 20-something years since
But
not
the
been
the
developed.
houses that are on Amelia are the curb and gutter and the
It's all-
finished
yeah, it's up to
asphalt.
county
is the-
standard,
that-
correct,
then
yes.
that's fine.
Whenever they get done, the bank, the bank's taking care of all this because they're the, lien holder on it all. And once they're done, it'll be up to county standards, and then they'll dedicate it to the county.
Okay.
Do we have authority to hold a pinch of that bond back to make sure Amelia does get completed or?
Yeah, they're gonna have it completed by this fall. That's their plan. They've already
Okay.
talked to the highway department. They've already agreed on the maintenance bonds for the next year and everything. So that's
Okay.
all in the works.
Good.
It's
then-
just Kurt Toddy's the one that's done most of the lots out here. He's bought them one at a time.
Right.
And they were able to combine this area and make one more lot. He's had no problem selling the houses. There's just hardly any lots left. And this will pretty much finish the subdivision up.
Good, good.
Okay, we do have a proper motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll move into item number 2. Final plat for the redivision of Lot 2 Applegate Subdivision, tax map 121, parcel 13.00, 2.91 acres, Applegate Lane, and Highway 48 South, Dixon, A1 Agriculture, 2nd District.
Okay, this was surveyed by Christie's Surveying, and they were splitting Lot 2 and creating a third lot. You have a copy of the email that Michael Rogers sent me. I know he's given Mr. Clyburn a copy of the quote for the new water line and fire hydrant. I don't think at this time we have any surety on that. I don't know if Darren has an update on that.
Mitch, he emailed me, said he paid it, but I'm gonna see why.
Okay, when Michael sent me the email Tuesday, as of then, it was not paid.
I think he sent an email with his.
Okay, yeah. So it may at this time be paid, but right now I don't have a copy of that. Mr. Collins?
Okay, as far as the comments on this amended plat, of course, all necessary signatures. I had a note about the confirming the surety's been posted for the new hydrant installation. I think the way Darren's got it marked on here that the white-outed hydrant means it's hydrant to be installed. So, yeah, I was just reading Michael Rogers' comment again, and so I think just confirming the surety's been posted or it will. And so that's about all I got.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Collins.
Well, I don't have a problem with it, other than, I would just like to put into my motion that, as long as a copy of that email gets
Right.
sent along to make sure that that surety bond has
We
been.
won't sign off on it until we have a copy of that.
Right, right.
Okay, have a motion by Robert Woodrow to approve,
I'll second.
and a second by Gary Peeler. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move into item number 3. Final plat for amended lot 51 of the Ridgeley Farm subdivision, section C, phase 3, tax map 131B, parcel 21.00, 2.9 acres, Ridgeley Drive, Burns, Tennessee, A1 Agriculture, 12th District.
Okay, this was also surveyed by Christie's Surveying. What this is lot 51. At this time, it's not been developed to the lack of septic area. As you can see on the plat you have, the group that owns the property behind it, they're putting more land with this, and once it's done, it'll have enough, it's been soils mapped, and they'll be able to develop the lot. Mr. Collins?
Other than signatures, I don't have any comments.
Okay. Mr. Comer?
Thank you. I think it's a good solution to a problem they faced out there on Lot 51. I think the map meets our requirements, and I would move we would approve the amended final plat for Lot 51.
Okay, have a motion by R.J. Comer to approve this final amended lot 51. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by David Brogdon. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll move into item number 4, final plat for Maple Grove Road subdivision, tax map 067, parcel 3.08, 9.41 acres, Maple Grove Road, Dixon, Tennessee, A1 Agricultural, 1st District.
Okay, this was also surveyed by Christie's Surveying to create 9 new lots. During the review of the preliminary plat, it was determined the water would be supplied by Sylvia Tennessee Pond Utility District. There is a 4-inch water line. which will support the development, but no fire hydrants are required because of the 4-inch line. And it's been determined the remaining property in question will be added to the Bonnie Picard property. Mr. Collins?
All right, from a couple of months ago, we had reviewed the preliminary plat for this, and I kind of feel like we, got all the comments that I had going back to preliminary plat have, it appears they've all been addressed and finalized up here.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, since Mr. Berry is not here and that's his area, and I know the only issue he had was the backside of it, and y'all have addressed that it's going to be sold to the adjoining or added to the adjoining parcel. So I would move that we approve this with the appropriate signatures.
Have a proper motion by Robert Whitterow to approve, and I will second this. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll move into item number 5, the final plat for Spring Branch Subdivision, tax map 128, parcel 9.00, 17.61 acres, Myrtle Road in East Piney, A1 Agriculture, 7th District.
Okay, this was also surveyed by Christie Surveying to create 15 new lots. Some of the questions during the preliminary review, there was going to be requirement of 2 fire hydrants. You'll see in your email from Michael Rogers, the surety for them was paid on 6/24/21. Mr. Collins?
Okay, as far as this one goes, I wasn't here for the June meeting, but per the minutes, it appears that the staff's comments were primarily addressed, and the final plat reflects those needs. So I don't have anything.
Okay. That's 7th District, that'd be Mr. Williams.
Apologies, Mr. Darnell. It's good to see you.
Mr. Chairman, since Mr. Williams is not here and that's his area, and I know he addressed some of those issues that have been corrected now on this final plat. So, and the surety bond is in place now.
Yes.
So, okay. Well, I move that we approve this with the appropriate signatures.
I have a motion by Robert Whitterow to accept this final plat. Do I have a second? Have a second by Jeff Spencer. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor state aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we'll move into item number 6, final plat for phase 2 of the Donald R. Duke subdivision. That's tax map 075, part of parcel 11.01, 3.69 acres, Ridge Road, Dixon, Tennessee, A1 Agriculture, 1st District.
Okay, this was also surveyed by Christie Surveying to create 3 additional new lots. At the time of the preliminary, 1 new fire hydrant was required, and you'll see in the email, the surety was paid on 6/9/21. Mr. Collins?
I believe this one was, Donald Duke was one that was in last month's meeting, and I wasn't here for that one, but it appears staff's comments were addressed and shown on the final plat, so I don't have anything.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Since Mr. Berry is not here tonight, and all the issues have been addressed by staff, I move that we approve this.
Have a motion to approve final plat by Robert Whitterow. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by David Brogdon. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll move into item number 7. You all sign in. Give them just a second. Thank you. Okay, item number 7, the vacation of Lot 1 of the Justin Sullivan subdivision, 153 Martin Road. It's gonna be tax map 147, parcel 14.11, 2.1 acres, Martin Road, Monaco, Tennessee, A1 agriculture, 6th district.
Okay, enclosed in your packet, there was a letter from Chad and Lori Hagerberg. They're purchasing this property at 153 Martin Road, which is also known as Lot 1 of the Justin Sullivan subdivision. And they're buying the surrounding 4.3 acres in addition to it. They asked to vacate the subdivision plat and make one new tract consisting of 6.34 acres. In the new deed description, they will also have to re-record their current easement, which you'll see their driveway is on. That's what they plan to do to keep that as their legal access. Mr. Collins?
Okay, as far as this goes, Mr. Darnell's addressed the issue with the access easement for this property, so I won't. There's no need to cover that one. Per Article 1 of our subdivision regulations, it does any vacation of a plat or a portion thereof requires the Planning Commission to follow the same plat procedure that we would for creating a lot. So, I believe there is an illustration that's been provided, although it's more so in the appearance of a survey. At a minimum, at least with the last plat vacation that we looked at, it does need to provide the the details that we require for a final plat, albeit we're combining acreage instead of creating new lots. At a minimum, the owners of the lot in the platted area should enjoin and sign in that plat. So, other than the secretary's signature, it would, at a minimum, include the owners signing this plat to vacate before it's recorded.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
See, Mr. Collins, you're not asking any further survey work or any, are you just looking for a topo map or?
Well, with the survey that they provided, it looks very similar to what we would, the illustration we would see on a plat.
Right.
This needs to
Right.
be, provide the details, at least enough of the bullet points we have of checklist items, excuse me, that we have in our final plat checklist.
Well,
So,
I
putting
think you,
signature blocks, that's just
yeah.
blocks.
And I think this is something that they can cover with Mr. Darnell and just, have their, legal personnel draw them up.
They
so-
gotta get all the two parcels combined and everything. They just wanna make sure that one subdivision lot is absolved and it makes, yes.
Right. And once
it's
they
all
do
said
that,
and done, yes.
I think we can kind of, bend the rules per se a little since we're creating one lot out of two so that
And it
this can't
technically-
be
it won't
subdivided.
When it's done, it won't be a subdivision lot anymore anyway.
Right. And I think we need a little more of that right now in the county. Seen some of the plans that we've seen here of late. But I would move that we would approve this with the proper signatures and the proper documentation be provided to the planning office.
Have a motion by Robert Whitterow to approve the vacation of Lot 1 of the Justin Sullivan subdivision with staff comments.
I'll second.
Have a second by David Brogdon. Any further discussion on this? If not, let's take a roll call vote on this.
Robert Witherow,
Yes.
Jeff Spencer,
Yay.
Mac Pilkington, Robert Qualls, David Brogdon,
Yes.
Shane Chandler,
Yes.
Gary Peeler,
Yes.
Wayne Durham, Robert Comer. Mr. Chairman, motion
And just to
carries.
be clear for the record, yes was to vacate lot number 1.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move into item number 8, preliminary plat for section 3 of the TL Allen subdivision, tax map 075, part of parcel 37.00, 7.55 acres, Steel Road, Charlotte, Tennessee, A1 agriculture, 1st district.
Okay, this was surveyed by Exile Land Company as Section 3 to create an additional 7 lots. They will be numbered lots 11 through 17. Area is serviced by the Water Authority of Dickson County. There is a 6-inch water main on both Columbia Road and Steel Road, and there's actually 3 fire hydrants in close proximity to this area, so that the water will not be an issue with this property. I know one of the things Mr. Collins had commented on was the corner lot. That's a picture of the corner lot. There's a pretty detailed drainage easement made of rock and block on that, and there's a lot of basically limestone abutment, so that it's always been part of the farm. I would say that's probably the reason they did not want to develop that. Yes. Mr. Collins?
Okay. Yeah, the comment that I was, with that in mind, I was alluding to the, if the land changes ownership, that the new owner may decide to do their best to create a new lot of record out of that, and they're about 0.09 acres short of an acre, so it would seem befitting that, if that be the case, new ownership, and they desire to create a new lot, then they'll have to negotiate with the adjacent landowner, the lot owner, to adjust that. Lot 13 is the adjacent property. That would be, move the lot line to give a little bit more acreage. But that's for the new owners to be concerned about in the future. Other comments I had, of course, the hydrant issues, I believe that one's now covered. A 5-foot right-of-way dedication note's been provided for the entirety of lots 13 through 17's road frontage. That elaborate rock wall drain is an issue that I brought up on the previous section that's just south of this proposal on Columbia Road. So ditching is, I've mentioned this many times, ditching along the road frontage due to the way that the land drains towards the road, that will benefit overall drainage of this development. So if of course, a ditching notation should be provided on this plat to that effect for those lots that don't have access to that rock-walled drain. So I'm certainly, I certainly encourage the Planning Commission to consider that as a notation to add to at least by the final plat.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
I have a couple of questions on that, just to
Yes, sir.
make sure I understand what I'm looking at. Mr. Collins, you're talking about the ditching. You're talking about ditching along lots, 13 through 17 and 11 and 12 on Columbia Road. But when we get to the triangle leftover lot where Steel Road and Columbia meet, that's where we have this photo of I look at it sort of like a decorative bioswale. Am I in the right place? I got everything right? Okay.
Yes.
You're not proposing that be removed and ditched?
Oh, no.
Okay, good.
No.
Okay, that's what I need to
It's good to have
understand.
ditching back up south on the road,
Leading up to it.
leading to
Yeah.
that.
The one comment I would like to share, and it really comes from my own experience, out on my west, 6 acres, we have some erosion issues that we're dealing with, and trying to find a way to deal with them that is both effective, but also kind of enhances the character of the land. And I think what they did on this remainder parcel is terrific. So I just wanted to compliment that's being preserved. With the answer of my question on ditching, I'm fine with this.
Is that a motion, sir?
I guess, so in the absence of Mr. Barry, I'm happy to make a motion that we approve preliminary plat for TLLN subdivision with staff comments, particularly the staff comment about ditching.
Okay. Have a proper motion to approve this preliminary plat for Section 3 of the TL Island subdivision by R.J. Comer. Do I have a second? Have a second by Gary Peeler. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor state aye. Opposed? Okay. We'll now move into item number 9, which is the final plat for the re-subdivision of lots 1 and 2 of the TL Island subdivision, tax map 075, parcels 37.10 and 37.11, Steel Road, Charlotte, Tennessee, A1 Agriculture, First District.
Okay, this was surveyed by XL Land Company to combine lots 1 and 2 of the first division of the TLLN property from January of 2020. If you remember, on Steel Road, they originally had lots 1 through 4. At this time, lot 1 will increase from 1.04 to 2.14 acres, and lot 2 will be totally eliminated. Mr. Collins?
No, I think that pretty much covers it, Mr. Darnell. I don't have.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Collins.
I'm assuming it didn't perk.
No, they won't build a large home.
Oh, okay.
They wanted a 4 or 5 bedroom improvement.
And they needed the extra.
Well, that's pretty much
Yeah,
what's going out there is larger home.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think Synergy's gonna build on it, yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay. And, Mr. Myrtle, on that last one, you know, if the soils aren't good, if that triangle piece down there, if you have to rework it, if you could make that, or talk them into making that an acre,
Well,
that,
that triangle piece is reserved for those farmhouse.
Yeah.
It'll always be a part of the original house and spring across the road.
well,
It won't ever be separated.
well, I thought that was, well, the property beside of me, and now it's being cut up, so, you know, I would ask you to, you know, if you have to do any redesign, if you can make that an acre lot, because 40 years from now, when, you know, somebody may want to build a house there, and it would, you know, be a whole lot easier if it was a full acre. And that's just my suggestion.
So is that a motion also?
Yes, it is.
Have a motion by Robert Witherow to approve the final re-subdivisions of lots 1 and 2 for the T.L. Allen subdivision. Have a second by Wayne Durham. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll move into item number 10, rezoning request for the Sid Dumas CBS Investments, tax map 121, parcel 039.01, 49.33 acres, Calvin Road, request to rezone from R1 PUD to A1 Agriculture, Second District.
Okay, the zoning on this property goes back to 2008 when it was rezoned to R1 PUD with the intent of building Ammon Fields. I don't know how many of you remember that. The master plan preliminary plat was also approved in March of 2009. Since that time, no development has happened, so both have expired. CBS Investments, they purchased this property, and they want to divide it into larger tracts. If you look at the boundary survey, you'll see there is a driveway easement that runs through it, and there's also easements for gas pipelines. So what they want to do is create a more rural effect and have tracts that are at least 5 to 10 acres plus, instead of the PUD that was proposed. And it's real, you're real close to the city limits of Dixon, and that's what they propose. Mr.
Yeah.
Collins?
Okay, well, as far as, my comments for this, I had, I started off by, under planning issues, identifying that, this property, lies within the, city of Dixon's urban growth boundary, where, the city anticipates, moderate to high-density residential development, of course, provided that the infrastructure is, water and sewer would be, extended if they were to, go a high density, which the applicant, according to Mr. Darnell, they're looking to divide and create larger tracts. So that may very well render that comment about high density residential, unnecessary.
At this time, there is no sewer in that area.
Right.
Water,
There is city
But there
water,
is
but there
water.
is no sewer.
Yes.
This-
I thought there
When
was.
this was proposed, they had planned on extending it, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, and
Right.
yeah,
It's sewer's not that far away, but
yeah.
since it is Cowan Road, but it's still a little bit of distance from the nearest sewer.
Yeah,
Anyhow, as far as the some of the zoning issues, I think the two main zoning issues, well, one of them's actually just a, just pointing out that there's as many as 4 gas transmission line easements that runs through there. So, these easements, as we know, can greatly hinder a property from ever being developed because of this. So it will, these dividing of this property into large tracts, I'm sure there'll be 5+ acre tracts. So, these easements won't go away. They'll be a part of whichever tracts are mostly affected by them. Dave also mentioned the driveway access easement that is in favor of the Stedman property. Although that parcel does abut Cowan Road and other locations, so if that easement was ever removed and taken out of the way of those new tracks that are being proposed, then the Stedman property wouldn't lose abutment to a public road that's Cowan Road. However, the only other comment I had was the HUD that since this development did go as far as getting a final master plan approved years ago, but has since stopped. There was no further development. The PUD standards requires just what appears to be a formal cancellation, which could very well be just a petition of the landowner to formally mention that. In my material, I did not. I saw a
the way
letter,
we had this,
but-
like on the one on Pomona Road, according to
Yeah.
legal, it was good for 2 years and it expired. With the zoning change, all that goes away.
Okay, well, as long as as long as we've got it documented in our minutes that
It would have
this
expired
is
technically in
this master plan
2011.
will go away, per this, and hopefully that's defendable enough. That
According to legal,
nobody
that's
can
what they
make an
said.
issue.
Once it changes zoning, all that goes away, and that would be the correct way to do it.
Okay. And it also does away with the preliminary plat as well, because it's been long since that preliminary plat was approved, so it's already expired without
It
us
had
doing
12
anything.
months, and that's been years ago.
But that's all I got, Shane.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Collins.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move that we send this on to the county commission for the rezoning change. They'll have to approve this
Yeah, it's got to go to public hearing and final.
and
reading,
public
correct.
hearing and can add to that if required, letter from Brian Reagan
Sure.
stating that, the since the changes and the time frame has expired.
Okay, I have a proper motion by Robert Witherow to send this rezoning request on to the county commission. Do I have a second? Have a second by Robert. Have a second by Robert Qualls. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Roll call vote.
Yeah, let's do a roll call vote then.
Robert Witherow,
Yes.
Jeff Spencer,
Yes.
Mac Pilkington,
Yes.
Robert Qualls,
Yes.
David Brogdon,
Yes.
Shane Chandler,
Yes.
Gary Peeler,
Yes.
Wayne Durham,
Yes.
Robert Comer.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes all of our business items. We have other business. Is bullet point number 1 is the road dedication for Killarney Place and Clancy Lane in the Lacey Point Subdivision, Phase 6.
Okay, you'll have some paperwork in your packet. This is the final phase at the Lacey Point, and the only 2 roads that are not currently under the county jurisdiction. The highway department has inspected. They've been repaved, signs put up, and they've been approved. And if it's approved here, it will go to the county commission for approval.
Do we need to take action on this?
Yes, you have to approve it to forward it to the
Okay. Well,
county commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve this and send it on to the county commission.
Okay, have a motion by Robert Witherow to approve this to be sent to the county commission and a second by R.J. Comer. Any more discussion on this? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next bullet point is change to Dickson County subdivision regulations.
Okay, the Land Use Committee, of course, as everyone knows, they're working on several changes to the subdivision regulations in the coming months. The few in front of you tonight are real simple ones, changing the due date. That gives us more time for preparation, plus to give you more time for review, and setting a standard size for the final Mylar plats. That was something the registrar's office requested. They have certain custom-made wooden boxes, and they do not like to have a plat they have to fold.
Right.
You'll also see some changes from the highway department. They've used a 30-foot driveway culvert for years. You'll see in the book, it's still listed as being 16 foot. 16 foot's too small. Every time they get crushed, the developer puts one in. You know, the county's responsible then to maintain them. They've also asked to put in the section on the plastic culverts. They're cheaper in initial price, and in the rural areas, they actually last longer. Nobody realizes it, but in your rural areas and agricultural, fertilizer destroys the culverts, metal culverts, in
And the
just a few
runoff,
years' time.
yes.
Exactly.
I've had to replace a couple.
So this is something they were asked to add while we start to add. These are simple things. You vote to approve this. This will then go to the county commission.
Well, if it's amendment to the subdivision regulations, it wouldn't have to go to the county commission.
Well, see, that's what we wondered. See, Brian Reagan and thought it had to go to them. So I don't know. We'd have to get clear.
Yes, but
Okay, we'll have to verify that then.
Anything we're asking for, I'm sure the county committee,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
this,
these
they're
are-
gonna approve it, so
Yeah.
let's send it on to them, and then that way,
Yeah.
if we're redundant, so
We had
be
talked
it.
about this to them a while back, and they thought everything before had to go, but I know Brian had said it never did have to.
yeah,
don't know.
if anything, perhaps a blessing by the commission or.
Right,
and-
I don't see no reason
before we
why they
take
would say
action on
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve it and that we
We'll
send
send
it
it to
on
the-
to the county commission for their,
We got a motion by Robert Witterover to approve it and a second by R.J. Comer.
And want to put some things in the record on this before we go.
Yes, yep, we'll move into,
With regard to the extension from 15 to 30 days, state law has a 30-day requirement. In other words, you can't make it longer than 30 days.
Right.
But we realized that we were half of the maximum amount of time that we could take to give our planning staff the
What
ability.
happens, everybody waits to 30 minutes before the deadline.
So in order to give planning staff the ability to spend as much time with the materials as they need, and as well as to give us time to
Right, that
review,
way we can get it out to you.
we're now
quickly,
just
too.
matching the state requirement for 30 days and extending. I also wanted to get in the record that I spoke with the road superintendent on his request on the culverts, and I was assured in a conversation with him that the change to the materials and the change to the length would increase safety and durability on these things. So I just want to get that in the record, and then we're ready
They've
to vote.
required the 30-foot culvert for years, because the first thing that happens, they get crushed. You know, the developer is only responsible for putting in the initial culvert. Then it's the county's responsibility to replace them.
Mr. Durham, you have a comment?
I do. Mr. Arnell, are they gonna change the specifications for installation when they add plastic? Because if plastic's not installed properly, it will not hold up. That's true. So, I mean,
They've sent a sheet of what's gonna be required as far as the installation. They hadn't determined that as of yet.
okay. Well, if there's a change, these specifications will need to be added to.
yeah, they've
Separate.
got to be backfilled with washed aggregate stone, whether it's limestone or river
They're
rock
off
or
this
something,
week
but
for
it's,
vacation. I will find out Monday.
and they gotta be topped like 6 inches or something, a minimum.
But in what they require, they can't require the recycled plastic. It's gotta be certain specs to begin with.
It really is supposed to not be the recycled.
No, they don't want recycled.
Yeah,
It's gotta be to the specs, yeah.
durability of that is
Correct.
minimal, unfortunately.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion in this matter?
Well, when we decide to make this change, if we can send some copies to, like Dickson County Electric and Lowe's and all, and say, look, this is what the county's requiring. If you've got this other stuff, you don't need to be selling it in Dickson
Well,
County.
the biggest thing you'll see on there with the email is where the county buys them. You know, the initial price is gonna be cheaper and everything.
Right.
So
I don't know that we can tell people that, Robert. They can
Well-
use it on their private property.
Sure.
Well, I mean, seriously, I mean, though you go, like, I used to get mine through Henry Perkins at Dixon Builder Supply, and he would get you whatever you wanted, but they had a note up there said, county requires at that
Right.
time for a driveway, I think it was a 16.
Right.
It was the minimum was a 16 by 30. Okay, I'll sell you a 12 by 20 if that's what you want, but it won't pass.
Correct.
And so if we could just, relay to our local businesses that this is going to be the new standard. And so that way when somebody comes in and buys a 16 by 20 metal now, which would
Well, see,
pass.
they haven't let anybody use a 16 in years,
Okay.
because the first thing they do is crush the ends of them.
Well, I mean, no, that's,
Yeah. Now, if you have a cement driveway and you have the walls at the end, you can go as low as 20 foot.
right, you can get by with a 16 by 20, but but now that's not gonna pass either.
No.
Unless,
Well, they said they would still, if you have a cement driveway, as long as you got the head walls, they would go with 20 foot as
Okay.
low as that.
yeah,
But most people don't want to do that, and metal culvert has to be 30 foot.
right, okay.
Yes, sir, Mr. Pilkington.
The state's done outlawed galvanized already.
Have they?
Yeah, they outlawed that. In fact, you up there at Dixon, all that trouble they got with water.
Yeah.
All that covers rusted out.
Sure.
And that's why the
That's-
state
okay.
put galvanized covers in. So that's the state in that. But
Well, they've realized this in the rural areas. Fertilizer runs off and rots them out in just a number of years. Yeah.
All righty. Let's take a roll call vote on this. Please.
Robert Witherow,
Yes,
Jeff Spencer, Mike Pilkington, Robert Qualls, David Brogdon,
Yes.
Shane Chandler,
Yes.
Gary Peeler,
Yes.
Wayne Durham, Robert Comer.
Yes.
Okay, if nobody has anything else, the next scheduled meeting will be Thursday, August the 12th, 2021 in Dixon County Courthouse Annex.
move we adjourn.
The recording has stopped.